Like that's basically all it takes to make ricin. Like you could be
Yeah.
making ricin in your basement right now. Of course, the difficulty then comes
Before the end of
from
this episode.
honestly, probably yeah. Before you finish listening to this episode, you probably could make ricin.
Oh my
But,
god.
Oh gosh. Oh jeez. Oh no.
You're listening to the Art and More podcast with your hosts, Nathan and B.R. Nathan is a Canadian illustrator with a couple years of military experience, and B.R. is a British anarchist that moved to the States. Both are passionate shooters and community builders. Together, they run the CBRNart page. Enjoy the show.
Hello, and welcome to the Art and War podcast. I'm joined by my co-host Nathan.
Hello.
And we are getting back to a topic that we have not touched in like what feels like 3-4 years because the show's that old. And
It is, and I don't think we've ever actually done an episode about it. Like we've talked about gas masks and stuff. Like back in the Summer of Love, I think we talked about like the gas mask guide, what makes up capsicums. Or I don't even know if I pronounced that right. All sorts of like kind of street level CBRN stuff, but we never deep dived it. I don't think.
No, so that's something, it's still part of our name on Instagram, CBRNart. Like we gotta hit it, guys. It's been a long time. So joining us today, very special guest from the Discord, a listener, Happy, who is a CBRN Specialist. Hello, Happy.
Hey, how you guys doing? Yeah, so like BR said, I'm a CBRN Specialist. I've been doing that in the Army for a little over 5 years now. CBRN, right? Chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear. Specifically, my focus, because of my unit's special mission, is going to be radiological and nuclear, but we're all trained to be general specialists in it, so we're knowledgeable on all the different hazards we could encounter. Civilian side, I work for Smile Delivery Incorporated, doing safety, which is kind of actually how I got the safety job. Is I used my hazmat experience from Army being CBRN to kind of springboard my civilian job, and then started studying safety in college. So I've kind of just doubled up on both my jobs, and that's kind of helped springboard my life along.
Wait, what fucking company did you just say you work for?
Smiles Delivery Incorporated.
Have you ever seen the show Smiling Friends?
Yes, I have. I'm just not saying the actual name of the company I work for, civilian side.
I was about to say, it's just like, do you go around with like PIM and you make people smile?
I think
that's the whole thing.
Smiles Delivered Incorporated, if you kind of read in between the lines, gets across who it is.
Okay,
very major corporation.
Yes,
but I'm just gonna not say their name because they very much disagree with everything we talk about on here. So I'm only there because their pay is pretty decent and the hours aren't horrible.
Okay, right. I thought you were just like. Initially, I just kind of took you at face value, or thought that.
No, I did too. I was happy to just run with that.
Yeah. that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. So, I guess as Nathan mentioned, like the first time that really the reason the page existed in the first place, our former co-host Mitch, who's since retired and moved on to civilian life outside of the gun industry, he had a CBRN, he went through the CBRN school while he was in the Army. And so during 2020, when a lot of anti-riot things were being used, people were breaking out gas masks with asbestos filters, crazy shit was going on, and we had the Wu-Tang flu or whatever the fuck we were dealing with, all sorts of biological as well as chemical irritant threats were kind of popping up, and so people were like, oh shit, I need a gas mask. And so again, we touched on those at a very street level, as Nathan said. Sort of thing. But now, 5 years later, 2025, talking about CBRN threats, would you be able to walk us through kind of the acronym and kind of what is most likely for a prepared citizen, or really a citizen, to face in their lives?
Yeah. So of all four of them, outside of things are really bad, we're at war and nobody's following the rules anymore, realistically the only thing you'd have to majorly worry about is going to be chemical hazards, and that's going to be tear gas.
Yeah.
And for the most part, tear gas, if you just walk away from it, you're going to be fine. If you sit around for it, it's going to suck, but it's not really going to do anything to you. So like, just a basic filter mask, even like the N95 mask that they were talking about during the big scare, even that is going to be, at least for respiratory, effective, because that N95, off the top of my head, I don't remember the specifications for what N stands for. If I think it's like non-oil resistant or something like that, but the 95 means that filters out 95% of airborne contaminants. So it's going to be basically the same as having like an actual, like, respirator with a screw-on filter. It's just not going to be the whole thing. It's not necessarily going to be as effective because you're not going to get quite as good of a seal, but it's still going to prevent some amount of the not mustard gas. Yeah, hopefully we don't get that, but it's some amount of the tear gas, or if your army CS.
Yeah, so like really quickly to hit on that, like basically a lot of what at least for things that you're going to inhale, like irritants, it's all about like keeping particles out of your system, which the whole thing with COVID was like you wear a mask, it stops like the germs are only so big, and so this will stop those particles, which, not to get into that shit, but that was the theory behind wearing those kind of masks. So like keeping those kind of irritants is literally just stopping a certain size of particle getting into your system, right?
Yeah, because basically, so the way a filter works essentially is it's got, think of it as like strands essentially that are small enough that big particles are going to get stuck on them and not be able to go through it, but small enough that oxygen and things you want to be able to breathe will slip through it, and then things that are too small, so some of those really fine contaminants, because the filter has some sort of, because of how it's made, fun, micro level electromagnetic stuff going on. Those really, really small filters are going to be really, really small particles get attracted to the fibers in the filter, so it stops big things, and the really tiny things get attracted to the filter, which is why over time you need to replace your filters and stuff like that, because they'll start to absorb and soak up some of those really fine particles, and that starts to break down the filter and make it less and less effective in time.
Yeah.
So aside from like chemical irritants, is there any is there any other like more common chemical threats the public might face? And then kind of thinking bigger from that, what else does chemical include?
Yeah. Not to get too sorry. Not to get too autistic.
No, you're good.
Not to get too autistic, but my mind, when I think of chemical threats, obviously, as you said, most of what a civilian's going to be dealing with is going to be like tear gas, so and so. They throw that shit around like candy whenever there's civil unrest.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what side you're on. Like, you're gonna get some.
You're gonna get hit with it, and it sucks.
Yeah. My mind also jumps to, for example, that terrorist attack in Japan. Like,
the nerve agent.
That's it's very unlikely that something like that happens. But I want to touch on that a little bit as well. Sorry, continue.
But no, so some of the other chemical agents you're going to be looking at, right, are going to be like you were mentioning there, nerve agents. Nerve agents are remarkably undifficult to make if you have the know-how. But the problem, of course, is having the laboratory, having the know-how, knowing which chemicals do what. Because if I'm not mistaken, you can just go on Google and be like, what is chemical makeup of insert, hey,
ChatGPT.
chemical agent. Right.
Yeah, it's periodic table stuff.
You can look at it, but I don't know how to like boil this, like put that in there, mix that with this, and make, say like sarin or something. But if you're a scientist and you know how to do that stuff, in theory at least, it's not terribly difficult. But the problem is having access to all the laboratory equipment you need. I know that's one where of course, like CBRN is kind of one of those things where when you really start thinking about it and stuff about it, it's kind of the curse of knowledge. I have times where I'll be sitting there thinking, well, if somebody could make this, and then they could do that, but then they could do this, and then that, and this, they could do that, and that'd be really bad. Because like one of the things I think about, right, is the thing that stopped that that attack in Japan from being really bad is their dispersal method was not great. They just kind of like, they made it, they put it in some plastic bags, poked some holes in it, it's kind of like, go, CBRN hazard, do CBRN stuff. And because it was relatively cool that night, it saved a lot of people from having an exposure to it. Because if I remember right, most nerve agents don't start to off gas until either 68 or 72 degrees Fahrenheit. So they have to be a little bit higher in temperature before it starts to kind of break down and become a gas. And I think it was 50s that night, if I remember right. And so it didn't really become a gas very efficiently, which is why it was able to kind of be stopped. But that's like one of the things I think about is like, okay, so in the modern age, what if I got an electric kettle that is self-powered, went on a subway with my bathtub grade sarin, turned
That's
on the
kind of like,
kettle, and
the
now I'm
curse of
dispersing
knowledge.
it like that, right? The likelihood of that happening is near to zero, and honestly, like, unless you were already in a like full hazmat suit before they did that, because a subway car would be so enclosed, there's pretty much nothing you're going to be able to do about it. Because the thing that makes like nerve agents specifically really nasty is it's not just an inhalation hazard. If it gets onto your skin or onto your clothes and then absorbs into your body through your clothes because of contact, you're still going to have the effects of this of that nerve agent, which is going to be like, you'll notice like your mouth starting to salivate, your muscles are starting to contract. 'Cause what nerve agent does is now if you have to forgive me because I probably don't remember all these funny words
No,
well
you're
enough
okay.
off the top of my head, but it's acetylcholine, if I remember right, is what like allows your muscles to contract and uncontract, and that goes through, and whatever it is that tells your muscles contract, acetylcholine goes through, eats that, allows your muscles to uncontract. Water cleans out the acetylcholine so that you can open and close your fists, go for a run, all that good stuff. The problem with nerve agents is that binds to your acetylcholine, and then water can't wash that out. And so your muscles start to contract and you can't uncontract them because the natural mechanisms in your body to allow you to like uncontract your muscles suddenly aren't working.
Yeah.
And now there is an antidote for nerve agents called an ATNA. I don't remember what that acronym stands for, but it's
I had
like
no idea.
basically an epinephrine pin, but different. Because the army, when they're telling us you have to have it for put it on for 10 seconds, and it's a giant needle that hurts like hell. So they say count to 10, even though you only need 3, because you're probably gonna be like, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, it hurts. And you have to. I think it's 3 or 4 doses is the recommended for any exposure to nerve agent, and so that's why they say count to 10, because you're probably going to be counting fast because you're, 1, freaking out, and 2, the needle hurts a lot. Some other things which are less likely, I think, to kind of be exposed to are going to be blood agents, because those are pretty much exclusively like chemical weapon. I don't even know if there's really much out about them on the internet, but the thing that makes the blood agents specifically kind of scary is that those can eat through your filter in a couple
Oh,
of minutes. So
man.
that's like, you got to be like full sealed suit on oxygen to deal with them, or get out of the way before you know you, they happen. But those fortunately are something that civilian side you should pretty much never have to deal with. And then of course, like the one everyone knows from World War I is going to be like mustard gas and chlorine gas.
Yeah, like
I mean,
every
like,
edgy 16-year-old knows how to make that in napalm.
yeah, that that stuff is bad,
Yeah.
but it's also kind of one of those ones where it's like tear gas, where it's like, okay, hey, bad air over there, go this
Don't
way.
go there. Yeah.
Yeah. and,
Yeah,
and
just
honestly,
it settles.
yeah, that's a lot of what CBRN training is in the Army is, hey, stupid infantry guy, bad air this way, go that way.
Yeah.
And then the other half of it is how to do like detection and decontamination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that stuff we should hit on that kind of once we've worked through like the acronym some.
Of course.
So that's kind of like the bulk of chemical things to worry about.
Pretty much. There's some more like super niche things that I don't remember off the top of my head, just because it's like there's only one that falls under this type, one that falls under that type, and
Just awful like
Yeah.
Cold War wet dreams of fucked
Oh,
up
oh yeah,
people.
like some dude in an American think tank was like, guys, what if we put this and that together? What do you think will happen? Or
Right.
like some Russian guy was like, hey, let's do this thing and just test it on this mountain town because we can.
Put that guy in a fucking hole. He's not
Yeah.
allowed in here anymore.
Yeah, which is like the Dyatlov Pass incident.
Oh
That's
yes, that's
if
one
you're
of my
familiar with that. That's
very.
one. That's one where a lot of people just nobody really knows what happens.
Yeah.
But that's kind of one of my theories around it is that it was a Russian nerve agent.
Interesting. Can you explain before we get too far? I kind of want you, if you're willing, to explain the
Yeah.
Dyatlov Pass incident to people who don't know about what it is before we
Right.
get
So
into.
I'll give a real quick
Yeah.
synopsis of what I can remember about because it's been a while since I've looked into it. But basically, it was a group of like a college group of hikers in Russia went up a mountain to do like a couple of days out and back hike, and all of a sudden, after the second or third day, people just started like inexplicably like horrifically dying,
Hell
and
yeah.
nobody knows what it was like I'm walking next to Mary Sue, and all of a sudden Mary Sue just starts seizing and like spitting up blood and dies.
Ew.
And so a lot of people are like, oh, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. And one theory I've never really seen talked about that I think is kind of interesting is that it could have been a V-style nerve agent, because what makes V-style nerve agents interesting is they're a binary compound. So it requires you to mix two like precursor like liquids together before you actually make that nerve agent, which is how back in I think it was 2016, North Korea assassinated a defector who was in the Kim family. He was at an airport. He was overseas. They had one lady walk up. She had element A in her hand, wipes it on his face. I was like, oh, okay, that was weird. Whatever. And then a minute later, another person comes up and she's got compound B in her hand, wipes in his face, and they just made in the field VX nerve agent by combining the two precursor compounds together and killed him.
Yeah.
So what I kind of think could have happened in the Dyatlov Pass is that Russia was known to be testing, if I remember right, it was the nerve agent Novichok up there, which is a V-style nerve agent, which means it's a binary nerve agent. So one thing I think is that maybe they were testing if we spray this area with compound B and this area with compound A, our guys don't ever get exposed to both of them. It's only the guys coming towards us that walk through compound A, then compound B. So one thing I think that could have happened is unknowingly on their hike, they got exposed to one of the compounds, went somewhere else, got exposed to the other. And then as things came together, the people who had exposures to enough of both of them started having all those issues, started dying. And that's why not all of the reported like illnesses or however you want to call it go hand in hand with a nerve agent, but enough of it goes similar enough with nerve agent, you're kind of like, huh, interesting. But that's there's another podcast I listened to that did a whole story about it, and I was like, oh, this is interesting, this gives me an idea. I spent like a day and a half like actually researching it, typed up a whole thing and said it in their Patreon private chat, and the host of the podcast was like, oh wait, that actually makes a lot of sense. I don't know that it's likely to be the one, but that's a really solid theory on it.
That's awesome. I think we should talk a little bit about the state that the bodies were found in, because that is the big part of the mystery, in which a lot of them were naked or like in their underwear. And a lot of the deaths were, I think, like crushing and asphyxiation.
Crushing.
The asphyxiation part can come from how nerve agents work. It basically prevents your body from breathing by shutting down your muscles, like how we were talking about earlier. So the asphyxiation makes sense. The crushing, not so much, but at least okay, they died of not being able to breathe. Nerve agent kind of makes sense.
It's a pretty common theory that the military was trying to cover up the use of CBRN weapons, and kind of reported things falsely, as the USSR was known to do at the time. And I think it was there is a possibility it was an avalanche, and there's a fairly high possibility it was reframed to look like an avalanche, because that would make sense.
Right.
And I do believe too, and I don't know if this is a nothing burger or not, that all of the bodies were slightly radioactive when they were found, but at the same time, it could just be the area.
I'm not familiar with that one off the top of my head, but I guess it's not impossible. Russia's doing a lot of
weird
not so
shit.
great stuff during the Cold War, and I mean, really, the U.S. was too, because we were both like prepping to like basically have to glass the planet.
America just decided to do it on islanders instead of people within their borders, like a civilized country.
Right, we're like, let's go to that random island over there that nobody's heard of, and they probably won't ever find out about.
Oh, there's people on it. We'll just tell them to fuck off.
Yeah, we won't tell them anything.
Or depending on the island, they're just like, this is fine. Test dummies.
Yeah, seriously.
They don't have human rights.
Oh, yeah, we'll spray them all with syphilis.
Dude, to be fair, there's a shit ton of servicemen that were like made to watch nuclear tests on boats. So caring about their own people isn't even true. But shit, that's nasty stuff. So moving on to more nasty stuff. Biological.
So biological is kind of like a really vague umbrella term, right? Because if we think about the Wu flu, right, there are some theories that now seem maybe kind of true that was a biological weapon. Biological weapons are pretty much anything that's an illness that's been weaponized. So, like, creating like a super bad bubonic plague, dropping, flea-ridden rats in a city that all have that bubonic plague. That could be a style of biological weapon. Making like botulinum toxin. That's another style of biological weapon that's really, really potent. Ricin and things like that are other types of biological weapons. One that everybody likes to hear about is anthrax, because, the scary white powder that was going around, and like, I don't remember what years those were, but, in the past in the U.S. where everyone's scared to open their mail because of the white powder that could kill you. And that's the one thing I think is really interesting about anthrax is it's only like 2% of it is deadly. The other like 98% is just like, it's just kind of there. It's chilling. So that's what makes using anthrax is kind of difficult, because you have to like culture it and work with it and find a specific strand that actually is deadly to people, and then you have to grow a bunch of it, and then if you do it wrong, it can grow a fungal shell around itself that basically just makes it completely inert and also immortal.
I did not know any of that about anthrax.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah, like I can probably walk out into my backyard right now and just like, reach down, grab a chunk of dirt if I was He-Man, and there's a pretty decent chance there's some completely harmless anthrax in it.
It's that common?
It is remarkably common, yeah. But because only like 1 or 2% of it's actually the stuff that'll kill you, it's not super likely that you'll come across it in your daily life. And that's also like biological weapons, I feel like, are probably the least likely for you to come across, just because like you have to have some pretty serious lab equipment to be doing this stuff with biological weapons, except for like some of the easier ones like ricin toxin. Because ricin is pretty easy to make.
Do not go play Ready or Not. Do not go look at the wall in Mission. What was it? Fuck, I can't remember. The one with the naked man in the ghillie suit.
You will involuntarily learn how to make ricin.
Yes, it's without getting into the specifics of it. You need the thing that has ricin inside of it, like a coffee grinder, a filter, some isopropyl alcohol, and a grinder. Yeah, and that's about it. I'm not going to say what the thing is that you need. You can Google that and probably find it without much trouble. But like that's basically all it takes to make ricin. Like you could be making ricin in your basement right now. Of course, the difficulty then comes
before the end of this episode.
Honestly, probably, yeah. Before you finish listening to this episode, you probably could make ricin.
Oh my god!
Oh gosh! Oh jeez! Oh no!
The difficulty, of course, is not accidentally poisoning yourself with it while you're making it, which is why you want to actually have some protective equipment on while you're doing it, which you should not wear because you shouldn't make it.
So
Yes. A
I
Lethal
guess
Obsession. That's the name of the
a
mission.
lethal obsession.
Yeah,
So
Lethal Obsession. Yeah, don't
Yeah.
play that mission and take notes off the wall.
Yeah. Do not
so
do that.
I guess with biological stuff, like would ricin be probably the most common thing like a regular person would come across? Is there any kind of like
As
majorly weaponized stuff that could be deployed in like a fucked up war? Like what's that
Yeah.
look like?
so biological is really just kind of like how messed up does your country want to get when it comes to warfare?
Yeah.
It's like the problem with biological a lot of the time is just it's difficult to disperse.
Yeah.
And it's also like we were talking about, like say somebody weaponizes the bubonic plague. There's not really a solid way other than, like, I don't know, maybe flying horrors of the modern world, flying a drone with dead rats in like a crate that have fleas on it, and then
Yeah.
you open that, drop it on the enemy encampment, and then hopefully they get exposed to the fleas and then get the plague.
Yeah.
Or God forbid, the other option is like you
Homeless
go
camp.
to a civilian city and you
Yeah.
just drop the rat corpses with plague fleas on it. So that's what makes it relatively unlikely for you to ever really come across a biological weapon, is just because they're so difficult to disperse. They're one of the few that doesn't really have a very solid dispersal method,
Yeah.
which makes them relatively unlikely to be used because they're so easy to, like, if you believe that the Wu flu was one
Yeah. The coup,
that
if
spread
you will.
that spread across the world uncontrollably.
Yeah.
That's the exact reason why most countries would shy away from trying to use a biological weapon, is because there's no real telling, like, okay, say we expose the enemy soldiers to it, but then they get in combat with us, and then they expose us to the thing, and now we have the thing we tried to give them.
I remember talking with an old roommate of mine about this a long time ago, and I absolutely agree with you. Like, it's not very smart. Like, it is not necessarily in the best interest of a country to be like, yes, we have genocidal end plague number 5 variant with 100% mortality rate just hanging around in vials. But I also don't trust governments enough to, like, what's that meme a while ago? It's like we have scientists announced that they have created the torment vortex from the famous science fiction tale "Do Not Create the Torment Vortex."
Why?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
And I saw a really good series of documentaries a while ago. They're titled Resident Evil, and in which
I think this is a good example of why not to do that.
Yes, I think so too. The dropping of the vial, and that next thing you know, we've got Mila Jovovich fighting zombies in what remains of Arizona. I don't trust things well enough to not walk out of some bored lab assistant's shoe in a black site somewhere. Sorry, continue.
No,
Yeah.
I mean a real quick note on like the whole Koof thing. When I got that, I don't know, did both of you guys get the flu at some point?
I was out for like a week.
So
week and a half.
I've technically had it twice. The first time was actually when I first went to basic training. My symptoms were I lived in a condemned building for 14 days.
Yeah.
The first time I had no anything whatsoever. Like, I was with people, like, I can't taste anything, I can't smell anything. I was like, I feel fine. The second time I had it, I also had the regular flu at the same time. So I don't know, like, which was which. I felt like I didn't feel horrible, but like I felt kind of bad. Like just the normal, like you're running a temperature and some other stuff's going on with you, but like it wasn't ever too bad for me, really.
Yeah.
Mine was pretty bad the first time. Like it was like the worst cold, but not the worst flu I've ever had. Like it took me out in terms of like I was snoring really loud. I coughed a bunch, was constantly chugging tea. The second time, nothing. Third time, nothing. Just like I only knew it because I was around people, and then I had sniffles for like 24 hours. So I'm guessing I may not have the last time, which was just last year, because fucking flu season, everyone gets stuff. Like stuff just goes around. I couldn't taste for a couple days, and that pissed me the fuck off. Like,
dude, I this is a dumb thing, but I actually lost a significant amount of my sense of smell and taste, like, permanently. Like, not fully,
That
but
sucks.
dude, yeah, my taste and sense of smell is duller than it was before. But like, I ask about your symptoms just because when I had it, I was like, oh yeah, this shit was like designed, So
yeah, it's one of those things, especially like looking into it nowadays with all the information we have. It probably didn't come from a bat.
no, like when I had it, I was like, this would be perfect to dump on Taiwan and then invade because
Yeah.
it's not like that deadly unless you're like
And
a slob
Yeah.
or you're
or
85
elderly,
years
or
old,
a
you've got
baby.
diabetes,
Yeah.
this and that going on.
But
But no, it's like, because especially like taste is so important. So that's another thing where it's like, then
Demoralizing.
because you can't
Yes.
taste things, it demoralizes you. But also, if you use other things you can't taste or smell, you're not necessarily going to pick up, like, say, for example, CS or tear gas.
Yeah.
I just had a field training a couple months back where we were doing paintball, and I got hit, so I was pretending to be dead, and I'm sitting there all sprawled out, and it turns out our unit dropped 7 canisters of CS. Because what happened was our commander pulled the pin on one, couldn't get the pin back in, slipped out of his hand, went, oh shit,
oh my god.
CS gassed himself and our first sergeant, and so they just took off in the gator, and like every 50 feet pulled a pin on one, dropped it, pulled a pin on one, dropped it. And so I'm sitting there, wind's kind of lightly lofting in my direction. I'm just like,
Okay.
I smell something. This is a familiar smell. Why do I?
This air is spicy
Oh.
suddenly.
Yeah.
Everything hurts. Why is my skin burning?
No,
Oh, that's CS. They said they were going to use that. What the heck?
dude.
And so
Gas,
like,
gas.
yeah. And so I'm laying there. I'm like, okay, option 1, I continue to lay here. Everything hurts, but it's not that bad. Option 2, I stand up and get shot with a paintball.
Yeah.
I'm getting shot with a paintball.
Dude.
So I stood up, like had my hands all the way up, got up, yelled, gas, 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 and everybody looks over me like, dude, are you crazy? I'm like, no, and everybody starts looking around because like CS kind of has like a faint kind of foggy look to it, so you can kind of see where it's at. And everybody starts looking around. They're like, oh no, oh god. And so option A was you go off into the woods and you only had to go through one grenade that way. Option B was you follow the road. It was starting to get dark, so we all followed the road, not knowing there was like 300 feet worth of just CS cloud that we all had to walk through to get on the road.
Oh man.
That was
Beautiful.
that was not fun, but it's one of those experiences where I look back on it now. I'm like, it was at least kind of funny. We can laugh about it now.
Well, and like to kind of like the wider point, like your sense of smell was critical for recognizing that early on, and like knocking it. One, it's demoralizing to lose your sense of taste and sense of smell. But
I
like
was
it also
the
makes
most
you less
racist
capable.
I've ever been that week.
If anything, it made you more powerful. No, so I was in. It took me out solidly for like 3 days, and I was artificially the most miserable I've been. Like I've had depression in the past, and like I've overcame it. I'm like I don't really feel that shit anymore. But just all of a sudden, I felt like distraught, like hilariously depressed out of nowhere, and I was like, what the fuck is this? Like I'd gotten a positive test, but otherwise I was like, cool, I'm off work, I'm getting paid, I'm like chain smoking in bed for 3 days.
Yeah.
But like I had cold shivers and I was like hopelessly depressed to the point that I was like, I know I'm not this sad. Like what the fuck?
Well, I stand by like sadness and like mood swings like that are very often the body's way of telling you something is horrifically wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it just felt like, if I was going to dump something on Taiwan right before I did a major land invasion, COVID would have been kind of perfect. Like, you're sitting here, all these fucking people are like, I just kind of feel like shit, and I don't really give a fuck anymore. And then, oh my god, the PRC is invading.
Yeah.
Perfect. But that's my little conspiracy rant for this episode. All right, we are back in the room. All right, so biological. We touched on a lot of the different kinds. Is there any other kind of closing notes on biological before we move on?
Yeah, so really the big thing with biological is you're pretty much never going to be able to tell until you're like, oh no, I'm sick, or you run across whatever the thing is. And the best protection against like like an illness type, of course, is standard hygiene practices. Take a shower, don't be smelly, wash your hands before you eat, after you use the bathroom, stuff like that. And of course, like if you were to put on like a protection suit, it's going to be generally the same as it would be for a like for a chemical threat.
Is there any kind of like different specialized filters for biological over chemical, or is it all kind of the same?
Uh, Generally, as best I know, they're going to be about the same. But there's probably some filters that are more geared towards the specifics of potential like biohazards. Like I know you think of like the hospitals, they were all using like the HEPA filters and things like that. That's just a general filter that's for fine particulate matter.
Yeah.
But like and then kind of like talking to masks and things, the best thing to look for, right, is that as I whip out my army mask that I have with me, because I've not been able to yet get back to my unit to get rid of this like $850 mask that I
Oh,
don't want to
is that
have
the
with me
Avon?
anymore. It's the Avon. It's Army's current issue.
Yeah, I got one of those.
The M53A1. But the thing you want to look for is the screw-on filter. Mask that
Oh,
has the 40
do you have an
millimeter
adapter, or is that
screw-on. No, so this is the newer version of the M50. It's
okay?
the
I'm using
M53.
an M50 with the
Yeah.
clip-on.
And the reason I recommend the 40 millimeter NATO filter, like the screw-on ones, right, is because if you get exposed to a CBRN hazard, unless things are really, really bad, you should just leave. You don't want to stay and fight. And the reason that the military requested those pop filter ones is so that you can hot swap filters in the field.
Yeah.
And really, you don't want to be in a position to have to do that, because that means you're in a really, really bad spot.
Yeah. We learned how to
For like just civilian stuff, the 40 millimeter NATO filter is so prolific. That's going to be your best one to get, because that's going to be the easiest to find. One, a mask that uses those filters, and two, just a filter itself.
Mm.
I remember having to hot swap. Like, I'm sure a lot of people listening to this have had this experience, like learning how to hot swap with a screw-on 40 mil filter in the gas hut. It's a pain in the dick. But
they never had us do that, but I'm sure it'd be really interesting.
Oh, dude, it was entirely just like snot and piss and sweat and just
Yeah.
It was gross. It was very bad. I stubbed my toe during, like, you take it
Worst
off
of all.
in the NBC environment and you scrub your face, then you put it back on, and I just like, for whatever reason, I think I stubbed my toe or something. I just like and oh man, no,
so of course, right. Bringing it back to masks for a second. Donning your mask, step one, right? Everybody thinks, oh, take a deep breath so I can hold my breath. No, stop breathing. Just wherever you are in your breath cycle, just stop. Because if you take a deep breath and there actually is a hazard in the air, you're just going to be sucking in a big old lungful of it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, open your mask carrier, pull the mask out, put the mask on, pull your cheek straps, tighten it down.
Yeah.
And here's the part I forgot in basic training when I broke the seal of my mask.
Oof.
Blow out so that if there's anything like residually on the mask, on your face or anything, you blow like the CS gas out and it doesn't get in your airways. I didn't think about that when I was in basics. I had pop the mask, break the seal, put it back on. You're supposed to blow out. I remember that part, and I just took a breath, so I'm in my mask like, oh, it hurts. And then, of course, like 30 seconds later, it doesn't matter, because then you have to take the mask out, walk out, flap your arms, and all that fun stuff. But very important step after the mask gets on and sealed is you blow out to make sure you blow anything that might be in your mask out. And then at that point, you're good to open your eyes and start breathing, and hopefully not, do the kick and chicken for the rest of your life. Or just go, oh, my eyes, they hurt, my lungs, they burn.
Incredible.
Yeah.
The kick and chicken. I'm stealing that.
Kick and chicken.
Yeah, that's what Nerve Agent would do to you. It's kicking
Yeah.
chicken.
A real quick note on masks while we're on the subject. The thing that everyone always gets upset about with CBRN stuff is I have to shave my beard. Is there any mask where that is not true these days?
So
Because I
if
know
your
people will ask.
beard's really short, you can maybe get away with it. But to get a real proper good seal, you probably want to be clean shaven.
Yep.
Like my beard with like now of course the viewers can't see this other than you two, but like my beard the length it is right now, I might be able to get away with it. One thing, like, if you've got a mask and you want to test it, that you can do, right, so you put the mask on, tighten it down, make sure it's fitted to yourself properly, place your hand over the filter and suck in. If it's making a good seal, that's going to suction the mask down onto your face because it's a should be a closed system at that point. And so if it sucks down onto your face, you hold your breath for about 5 to 10 seconds, and you don't feel anything, like you don't feel it start to like release off your face. That's how you can know your mask is sealed proper and you should be good to go. Another thing you can do is you can take your hand, put it over the front of your exfil for your respirator, and if you blow out and you've got that sealed properly, the air should start to fill up the mask, and then it'll make the funny fart noise as the air escapes from the side because it's
Yeah.
properly sealed on you.
Yeah. I never learned that one. Ours was like, yeah, you put your hand over the filter or
Yeah.
filters up, and you blow out. And yeah, it was the same thing.
Yeah.
I think you were supposed to do that to test seal and then yell gas, gas, gas.
Yeah, generally it's you want to just do the filter one. The other one is just like a not for while you're downrange. That'd be like a before you go to kind of like test and make sure that your exhalation valve is working properly.
That makes sense.
Gotcha. No, I'm glad I asked on that because it's something that every prepper has a beard, and sure enough,
Yeah.
like they get themselves a gas mask, and it's like, oh, buddy, like
Yeah.
if you think you're likely to need that, like you need to fucking go clean shaven, dude.
Have you? Do you have a gas mask?
I don't personally have one. I have one that
you
I
haven't issued one. That counts.
acquired from the
Yes.
army
Yes.
because it's I had to do a touch a truck event like
Yeah.
3 weeks ago now, and I just have not been able to get it up to the armory to be like, take my mask back from me. I don't want it. It's expensive, and if I lose it, it's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
No,
I say masks. It's not something I'm super familiar with outside of just kind of knowing. Generally, if like civilian side, look for something that takes the NATO 40 mil and find a 40 millimeter filter.
Yeah.
Because that's just I've never really looked into it super hard because at least like army side is just like, here you go, kid. Here's your not quite level C hazmat suit and your mask. Good luck.
Yeah.
Because that's actually my favorite part about the GS list, which is what the army issues to soldiers for protection against like hazmat stuff, is that it doesn't qualify as a level C because the suit can absorb liquids.
When you say
And-
level C, can you elaborate on
Yeah.
what that means? Sorry, I'm
So-
not familiar.
There's 4 different levels of hazmat protection. Level D is just like basically what we're in now is just like clothes, maybe like a hard hat and a vest, like a reflective vest or something. Level D is basically just no actual protective level. Level C is going to be splash resistant, so it's going to be a non-permeable to liquids. You're going to have a full face piece respirator with a filter on it, potentially up to a papper, which is basically just like a vacuum that sucks air in through filters and blows it on your face, which is quite nice when you have to be in suit for a long time. Step up from that is going to be level B. That's where you're getting into full liquid and vapor protection, and you'll be on oxygen at that point. So you'd be on a self-contained breathing apparatus, which is a SCBA. If you're underwater, a scuba tank. Basically the same thing, just a lot lighter because you're not underwater. And then level A is going to be like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man suit, where your mask and your air tank are going to be on the inside of the suit. And then on the inside of the suit is going to be a whole bunch of oxygen that makes it blow up and makes you all big and puffy. Like if you ever watched what's that movie, Pacific Rim, where they go inside the one kaiju, those guys that are actually going inside that kaiju are going to be in level A suits. And the minimum suit level, if I remember right, for any unknown hazard is going to be a level B, so that you know you're at minimum meeting any potential hazard you could see, and then once it's been identified and cleared for, like, the rest of your unit or whoever to go downrange, then as long as it meets the requirements for level C, you can be in level C.
That's actually really cool. I had no idea. Like that it was something entirely outside of my realm of knowledge.
Yeah.
I appreciate how not to like suck your dick or anything. I appreciate how informative this episode is. I'm learning a lot.
No, dude. I mean,
just like pausing to say that
it's a super niche topic that really doesn't have like a super large amount of information, but the trick is finding someone that knows it or trying to find where you can get it. Because like for me, like the Army, when you first join, if you're doing CBRN, gives you hazmat awareness and operations. Awareness is basically, you can say there's hazmat and it's that direction, you shouldn't go there. Operations is, you can be like, hey, you see this line here, this is our do not cross sign, don't go across the line. And then technician is, you can go over and then go boop boop, yeah, that's some spicy stuff, we probably shouldn't be over here right now. But of course, with the Army though, when it comes to your training, those would be civilian side certs that you can get, because I think once you hit E6 in the Army, that's when you'd get the hazmat technician training. I think recently they stopped doing that, but like, with your Army CBRN training, it qualifies us, at least from Army standpoint, to be able to go downrange, get out like detection equipment, sampling equipment, stuff like that, and go boop. Yep.
Yeah.
That's
Did they
their
still
region.
do gas hut? Like, is that still like a basic thing?
Yeah, you still in basic training have to go through the gas chamber. Or at least I did when I was there like chamber. 5 years ago. Yeah. And it's that's fun because you've got your mask on, you go in, you're doing some marching, looking around, going through the whole 9 yards. Then you gotta seal your mask, put it back on, blow out, which I forgot to do.
Oh
then
no!
You can breathe, and then it's whoop, and then you just gotta take a deep breath. You have to sit there until everyone coughs. That's the line. Until everyone coughs, you have to be in the chamber. I had a guy I was buddies with in basic and also AIT, because we went to the U.S. Army CBRN school together, who was Korean Army.
Oh.
And he spent most of his time in the Korean Army doing gas chamber stuff, because he was like the reception NCO for when the soldiers got out of the basic training into the first unit they were going to. He was like there to like greet them to the unit, and so he spent a lot of time in the CBRN chamber, to the point where like it almost didn't bother him. And so he's just sitting there like, yes, smells like home. And we're like, cough. It hurts.
You're tough.
Yeah. And he's just there vibing. And finally, like after a minute, one of the drill sergeants just kind of starts looking at him nervous and goes, all right, get out of here. And so we all go out like flapping our arms, got like booger down to your ankle.
Yeah, but, I hate that shit.
That was one of the most interesting things I've ever seen, is him just chilling there. It's like, yeah, this ain't no thing.
Damn. Yeah. See, I'm like the very furthest this team has from being CBRN qualified. I have never done any gas mask stuff. I've put on like a gas mask maybe like 6 times in my life.
Yeah.
And yeah, Nathan, to your question
did you just say you didn't have one?
No, I don't have one.
Well, you live not too far from bases.
And I am the specialist.
Yeah, I would check Facebook Marketplace.
Yes, yeah. I have this gas mask doohickey. Anyone want it? $60? Dude, I think it's an Avon.
I loved living in a Navy town, because like be like, oh, $30 for tactical helmet. And you look and it's like a Team Wendy exfil carbon.
You're like, oh, I'll be over in 30 minutes.
Yeah. Just like
I have $50.
Yeah, the pawn shops, you could always get the Gerber MP600s for like $10-20. Dude, I just bought them for all my friends.
When we were in Fayetteville checking out all of the surplus stores, knowing that is one of the worst places. Like CID must hate Fayetteville.
Yeah,
many tens of thousands of dollars have slipped away into surplus shops in Fayetteville. Or
Exactly.
Vietnam, sorry.
Well, I'm not going to say gas
Vietnam.
masks are unserialized kit, but gas masks are unserialized kit.
So if you have one, you can always sell it if you need
Yeah.
a spare buck.
BR, actually, specifically.
Yes.
I'm joking. This is a satirical podcast.
Serial number.
CID, I have no...
Never mind. There is a serial number.
There's
Yeah.
a serial number on these. This, on the other hand, that's unserialized.
Yeah.
CID, I have no interest in purchasing a gas mask that has been issued to someone.
Yeah.
Wink.
Well, thankfully, Avon has started selling to the public. We're
Yeah.
I'm friends with the local Avon guy. I really like him, actually. But he's cool beans. He takes the masks out for people to use, but I don't think he's very like sales oriented. He just hangs out.
Hey, based.
Yeah, I like the dude.
No, I mean, he's very sales oriented. He hits all of his targets, Avon HQ. All right, so CBR.
All right. So now we're on to the second to last of CBRN, which is radiological. A lot of people think, okay, so we've got radiological and nuclear. That's kind of the same thing, isn't it? But the big difference between a radiological threat and a nuclear threat is a radiological threat is going to be something like a dirty bomb, where someone takes. Actually, speaking of,
It worries me that you laugh at that.
Walmart. Did you guys see the news stuff about the radioactive Walmart shrimp?
I saw
No.
that.
Yeah. So Walmart had shrimp that got contaminated with cesium-137
What the fuck?
and had to recall their frozen shrimp because it had some of it had some amount of cesium-137 in it. But that's what a radiological threat or weapon is going to be, is where somebody takes some sort of radioactive element and either puts it in a bomb, blows it up, and disperses radioactive particles all over the place, or goes to Walmart and puts cesium-137 in shrimp for some reason.
Yeah.
That sounds like something one of the listeners would do, but I digress.
Maybe, but yeah, because that's actually it's something I saw I think last week or the week before. Maybe I was like, that's hilarious that I'm about to be doing this CBRN thing, and then here's actually decent real world example of a CBRN. Now, I don't think it was something malicious as far as I'm aware. I haven't looked into it too much other than going, neat. That's why I don't buy food at Walmart.
Yeah, what the fuck?
But and the thing that makes radiation kind of scary, right, is you could be standing right next to a radioactive element, and until you start to get sick, you're not going to really realize you're getting exposed to radiation, because you can't hear it, see it, smell it, taste it, feel it, or anything, because it's just a little wiggle in the air. And then, so radiological, I feel like is kind of like a potential threat, because if somebody can figure out where to source a significant amount of radioactive material, or steal some from a hospital or something, you could go out and just kind of set it somewhere, and it's probably going to take a while before anyone catches on and comes through with detection equipment and goes, oh, the air is really wiggly over here. Why is the air wiggling? But realistically, it's not like most of these, other than tear gas. None of these are going to be super likely for you to come across in just your daily life, unless you're buying Walmart shrimp.
Unless you're buying Walmart shrimp. I genuinely wonder kind of what happened.
Yeah. That's probably something we'll never hear about, other than Walmart's just like, oops, our bad.
Yeah, how the only way I can think, I mean, I don't want to encourage the listeners in any particular way, but
right.
Where would you find a large amount of radioactive material in normal supply chains? Why? Because that's like a
fire
crazy
detector, or smoke detectors.
Fire detectors.
Yeah, some smoke detectors have it.
Yeah.
Most modern ones don't. But the way smoke detectors used to work is so getting a little bit nerdy with radiation, right? You've got 4 different types. You got alpha, which travels 1, 2, maybe 3 centimeters. Beta, which is travels 10 to 30 centimeters. Gamma, which just kind of travels indefinitely, and then neutron, which is like gamma but only happens right at the moment like a nuclear bomb goes off. Um, alpha and beta emitters are probably would be used in like, medical equipment for like using like radiation therapy for cancer and stuff like that. But they're relatively, I feel like, uncommon. But I mean, if you know where to look, you can probably find it. But the way smoke detectors, like I was going to say, used to work is they'd have either I don't remember if it was an alpha or a beta emitter in there. You had a little radiation detector, and because to block alpha and beta radiation, you don't really need much. You just kind of need like maybe like thick clothes, or like, one thing that's effective at it would be like standing in front of some water or just walking a foot away from it. So the way smoke detectors used to work is there'd be a sensor for the radiation, and it sensed the radiation beaming off of whatever the little radioactive element that was in there. If smoke filled it, the smoke would be enough to stop the detector from detecting the radiation, and then that's what set off your smoke alarm.
That's really interesting. My mind jumps to that. I know my mind jumps to it's a Nathanism now. People keep on pointing it out now. It drives me fucking nuts. I got to find a new one. My mind jumps to that fella that built a working like a breeder reactor. I think, if I remember correctly, using a bunch of radioactive components of smoke detectors, and it ended up becoming like a super fun site. Like there's still radiation in that area. Like it was super. I think the guy eventually killed himself. Like years later, he just joined the Navy and then he died.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, weird government things they don't want you to remember or talk about.
Yeah,
just like nothing happened at Waco or Ruby Ridge.
Yeah. 16-year-old built a breeder reactor in his backyard with a bunch of smoke detectors. I think what's it called? The Nuclear Boy Scout, if you want to look into it.
Yeah, the Nuclear Boy Scout. Yeah, that's it.
Damn.
It's been a while since I looked into it, but that's a good one. Yeah. Radiation is one of those things that I quite enjoy, because when I was younger, I was super interested in nuclear, because I personally, at least, I think nuclear is the way forward to make energy, because it produces the most with the least amount of pollution and waste generated, and is generally speaking the safest of the like three major nuclear accidents. You've got Chernobyl, 3 Mile Island, and the Fukushima.
Yeah.
There's only been like directly associated to them a handful of deaths around it. Whereas like anything else has like hundreds to thousands of deaths associated to power generation, the pollution it generates, and like just getting the fuel for like, say, coal. You got to mine for it. Natural gas, you got to dig for it, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone I know is a COO of one of the larger rural power companies here, and he says, and keep in mind this is like verbatim through someone else that I'm not going to dox. Like small nuclear reactors combined with hydro is probably going to be the future for a lot of, at least up here.
Yeah, and that's like one thing that I was just watching a video on it the other day. Miniaturized nuclear reactors take up a really small footprint. The fuel you'll need to run one of those is basically the size of your fist, and that could power the city of Manhattan for a year.
Yeah,
with like something just about this, like, about the size of your fist. And the thing that's also neat, right, is when you only have something about the size of your fist as your waist, you can just make, big concrete tubes with, like line of lead, concrete, and that's going to be about enough to prevent most of the radiation from getting out. Chuck some of your spent fuel in there, seal it off, call it a day. You can do that for, 20, 30 years worth of fuel and not really have much of an issue whatsoever.
Well, and also, I hate to give the French any credit for anything ever, but they were. I know. I can't believe I'm even about to say this, but
I had something like this the other day where it's like, well, I got to give them credit for that. Darn it!
Fuck. Now they like fucking 15 years ago they were talking about like recharging nuclear fuel rods and how that was like a viable way forward, but just because we're so fucking afraid of nuclear power, like I'm really not an expert at all in any of that or really know much at all, but I remember reading a while back about them having that capability, and it's like, fuck, if we can recharge it, we don't even have like nuclear waste from it. Like it's
Mhm.
something that could potentially be used again and again. Like there's only one reason we're not doing this, and it's because of the existing infrastructure and the powers that be
And
behind it.
money.
Money, as always.
Yeah.
Um, so radiological, I guess. Did that extend into dirty bombs? Radiological.
Yeah. Because so you could take, like I was saying, cesium-137, put it in a bomb, go to some civilian center or something. If like the goal was like terrorism, set the bomb off, and then everybody's just like, okay, a bomb went off, and you're not necessarily going to realize, oh, also
Yeah.
the area has been showered
Yeah.
with radioactive, like a radioactive element.
My
Yeah.
mind kind of jumps to, like, remember all those drones that were all over the East Coast for a little while?
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the prevailing theories, because and there was a little bit of credence behind it. Again, I'm just kind of schizo posting. Was they were radiation detectors, because there were a bunch of dirty bomb rumors, and like missing radioactive components from Eastern Europe possibly finding their way over here, and they were all over for a little while. So someone had like technical schematics up online about these like floating drone radiation detectors, like
Yeah. I remember seeing that.
I don't know how true that was, but like
So
the dirty bomb scare happens.
Nathan, that was like
every
30
few-
things ago. Who cares?
yeah, right. Why are you remembering that? Stop
Yeah.
remembering something
Stop
from more than a
remembering.
week ago.
Yeah,
Eat the bugs. Be happy.
yeah,
But no, so the only thing I could think, like thinking about it, unless you're looking for exceptionally high levels of radiation, putting it on a drone that's going to be flying way above everything, it wouldn't really be a great way of detecting something, because radiation follows something called the inverse square law. And I don't remember enough about radiation to use like real numbers and tell you like it super intelligently, but like if you were 1 foot away from a radioactive element and you were getting like we'll just say 4 radiations per second, if you move back to 2 feet, because the inverse square law, now for every double the distance, you get a quarter of the amount of radiation you were receiving before. So if you're getting 4 radiations per second at 1 foot, at 2 feet, you're only getting 1 radiation per second. And then if you double it to 4 feet, then you'd be getting 0.25 radiations per second. And so, like, unless you're looking for something that's super, super, super radioactive, putting a detector on a drone and flying way above everything wouldn't be a very good way of detecting like some of the less potent radiation things. Because being that high up, you probably wouldn't really get much more than about background unless you're dealing with something that's gonna like melt people.
yeah.
So probably not what those drones were up to, but
Probably not. But
again,
maybe.
it happened so long ago. Who
Yeah.
even cares?
Drones, I don't remember those being over the eastern seaboard ever. That never happened.
Freaking everyone out for like a week or two.
Yeah. And then we moved on to the next thing.
Yeah, whatever that was. Again,
Yeah.
so many things ago.
Right?
So I
That
guess
makes me think of I think it was a Cold War Russian philosophy of if you tell them the truth but just say so much other random stuff, they'll never be able to know what the truth is because there's so much other stuff we're saying. So even
Funny
if
you
we tell
mentioned
them, yes, this is exactly what we're doing, but also
Yeah.
say 10,000 other things, they'll be so distracted by the 10,000 other things, they'll never realize that you said, yes, we are abducting children and feeding them to a satanic pedophile cult.
Yeah, funny you mentioned both of these in the last episode we did with Tales from the Grid Square. We got into both the Finders Papers and the satanic pedophile cult.
Yes.
Uncovered by the FBI, and then declassified, and then memory hold. Don't remember that actually. It's not on FBI.gov. Definitely not. Definitely can't find it by googling the Finders Papers. Hasn't come up in the show before.
National
but
parks
also
aren't
the,
mysteriously close to lots of disappearances. Stop thinking about that.
Yes. But also like the demoralization techniques of the Soviet Union, and also how everyone does it.
Yeah.
Like,
they work.
it works. It's so effective.
Yeah.
Yeah. why are you going to worry about what happened 30 things ago when we've got 27 new things for you to worry about today?
Exactly.
Stay stressed.
List? What list? There's no list.
I have the list on my desk.
Anyway,
There is no list.
There's no list. The list does not exist.
Anywho, we're renaming it the Department of War. Isn't that important?
Yes. Oh, did you
Dude.
see
Did you guys
who
not hear
Tweet
about the
Seg-
random?
Seth retweeted?
Yeah. It's like, oh, did you guys not see that in random country this we did that thing? It's like, no,
Yeah.
but what happened to the thing?
I
I
don't
hate
care
to say
about
like
any
it
of this.
works. I am demoralized. I don't check anymore because there's just so much shit that
Yeah.
you're supposed to be mad about. Like, how are you supposed to fucking choose?
I just presume you're evil and clock out.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably the answer. Is just go. Yeah, they're probably evil. Anyways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I'm just gonna live in the woods and have babies and tell them you guys fucking suck.
Yes.
I wish.
That's
Art and War Homestead group win.
Yeah.
dude. We will we'll pull a hoplite and just buy some woodland and have a weird cult.
Yeah.
Is that what Hoplite
We'll
did?
get Waco'd.
I think so. I think that was the plan last
That's
time.
right. I used to talk to Hoplite's media guy, like not the crazy old guy, but like just like the guy who used to post for the crazy old guy, and he was nice. I think he needed to, I don't know. I really hate to say like smoke some weed or something, but like I think he could have done with some relaxation techniques and maybe some deep breathing. But he was pretty cool. I have no idea what the hell happened to him. I feel like he may have been killed by the feds.
I mean, good chance.
Yeah.
If you go off into the woods alone and you're near a national park, you somehow get eaten by Sasquatch, and then they find, your shoe 2 miles that way, half of your pant leg 3 feet over there,
Yeah.
some random bones off in that direction.
Yeah.
Lord. Okay, before we go too esoteric, N.
Nuclear. So this is that's the one that probably most people are generally familiar with because back in World War II we didn't just say one is enough. We dropped 2 nuclear bombs on Japan.
And we had more.
Yeah, we had more. We've got more now. We've got lots and lots and lots of
We've
those.
even got loose ones we don't care about.
Yeah, there's a couple. Like, where are they?
I don't know.
Somewhere over there.
Yeah.
They could be in the hands of some clandestine, doomsday apocalypse cult, or they
Yeah.
could just be 27 feet sunk down in the mud, never to be found again.
Yeah.
Hard to say.
I saw a documentary about that once. It was called Broken Arrow.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
continue.
Don't get on the army things and say broken arrow. You're going to freak everyone out,
Yes.
and then you might actually get in like a lot of trouble. Yeah, it's fun. Our commo guy one time grabbed the radio and just went broken arrow.
Jesus.
Oh, jeez.
And it was hopefully on the frequency where it was just us and our combo guy for radio training. But it was one of those things where I all looked over him like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, I don't know, I'm just bored.
We're all about to get very not bored if you don't
Yeah.
shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I love him to death, but sometimes he does stuff. It's like, what are you doing? Stop that right now!
So, I guess, where does nuclear differentiate from radiological? So we're talking like full scale, like nuclear war kind of threats?
So nuclear is going to be different from radiological because radiological is just something that produces radiation, whereas nuclear is going to be the big kaboom.
Gotcha.
I think if you're looking for, these are my notes from the last time we attempted this. I put the nuke that they actually have in the Fallout TV show, like the example of like kind of how a nuclear bomb would actually look going off, was actually probably one of the best examples I've seen in media. It was like actually enough. Was like, ooh, this makes me a little uncomfy. I don't know if I like this.
Good. It's about time our apocalypse media actually got it right and made us fear a future.
Because I was just looking. I was like, okay, that tracks. That makes sense. That's about right. That's pretty accurate.
Horrifying.
Yeah.
That is absolutely horrifying. And but this is where like I kind of have some extra special training to actually know a little bit more about fun nuclear boom booms and things, and I actually have a textbook with some like fun information in it. Like I think the last time we talked about it, page 141. This means nothing to anybody else because they don't have this textbook, but I think this will be a fun one. So when the nuke goes off, right, it creates a pressure wave, and you guys want to take a guess at what you think the max like wind speed in miles per hour is going to be right at the center of where the nuclear detonation happens?
I'm curious. I don't even have a
I
frame
mean,
of reference
it
anymore.
flattens buildings, so it's got. I don't know what a hurricane or a tornado produces. I don't know, like 300 miles per hour. What?
You want to triple that. So
Fuck me.
close to the center of a nuke, you're looking at like 900 plus mile an hour winds
Holy
that
shit.
are generated
That's
when that
wild.
thing strikes off. Yeah, and that's going to be like when you're there, like buildings just don't exist. Like everything pretty much just gets deleted.
Yeah.
And that's going to be but like cuz when you're talking about nukes, right? There's a couple of different factors that play in them. One's going to be that overpressure wave that generates just like it does from any explosion, except for a nuclear bomb, because they're so immensely powerful. It's going to be significantly higher than conventional explosions. Then, of course, you're going to have the you know radiation it produces. There's also going to be the heat that's generated from everything getting like hotter than the surface of the sun in the blink of an eye. And then let's see, we got heat. Oh, light, right? Super bright flash. If you're looking at it when it goes off and you're close-ish to it, there's a decent chance you could go permanently blind. But even like being not looking directly at for a moment, you're going to go blind from just how bright that flash is going to be. And then the fun one that everybody likes to talk about is, of course, going to be the electromagnetic pulse, because it shoots off whatever the electromagnetic pulse is, and that's going to cause some chaos, because they'll stop. Like if you got your phone, the phone's not going to work for a while. Your cars are going to stop working for a while. All like your electronic stuff for a while won't be usable, which is going to then cause more chaos, because everybody's like, okay, what the heck's going on? My phone's not working. I can't call my dad, be like, hey dad, why isn't my phone working? And so that's going to cause chaos on top of that. And that's what my Army unit, our special mission, kind of came about from. Was back in, if I remember right, it was the 90s. The government was like, okay, terrorists are a thing. What do we think is the most likely thing for a terrorist to do? And this program decided that a 10 kiloton nuclear bomb would be the most likely thing for like major CBRN threat for a terrorist organization to do. And they were like, okay, so we think this is our problem. How do we deal with this? And they created something called SURF-P, which is CBRN Enhanced Response Force Package. And basically what the government does now is they're like, oh no, if something actually happens, we've picked up our SURF-P and go, yeah, good luck, SURF-P, you can figure this out. And so we get a lot of training on mass casualty decontamination, as well as search and extraction.
That makes sense, actually.
Yeah, but that's my unit. Our special mission is decontamination and search and extraction. And so when we're doing this, we've got one unit that goes out, does search and extraction, and then my unit, which is at the right where the line of the warm zone, the cold zone is, so that we can decontaminate people, send them off to Air Force medics. After that, after Air Force medic checks them off clear, then they get sent off to, like a sports arena or something, wherever, we've got like emergency shelters set up so that people can kind of like get away from the hazard.
Yeah.
And then one thing that I always kind of like to say, right, is if a nuke actually goes off, 90% of surviving a nuke is just location-based luck. If
That's the trick.
If you were inside the because there's three different level, like at least for our training, three different levels of damage. You got the high damage zone, the moderate damage zone, and the low damage zone. If you're in the high damage zone, like sorry, you're probably gone. Like if you were close to the center of it, you've probably been atomized. If you weren't, if you were further out from the center of it, you probably have a collapsed building on top of you and been impaled. Once you start to get into that moderate damage zone, that's where like maybe there's going to be some buildings that have collapsed, but like generally the overall damage isn't terrible. The best way to kind of determine if you're there or not is like, are there shattered windows? Kind of like, what do the structures around you look? And if you're in that zone, honestly, your best bet to survive is to like get into a basement if you can, get into the most center part of whatever building you're in, because like we were talking about earlier, that inverse square law, you want to be as far away from the radiation as you can, because you're looking for a Lara, which is as low as reasonably achievable, because you want to be as far away from it, exposed to it for as little time as you can be, with as much stuff in between you and the radiation as you can get, which is why being either in the center of a building or down in the basement that's underground is going to be your best bet, because in the basement you've got the building itself plus any earth that's between you and the radiation that's going to help keep you safe. Being in the center of a building, you'll have just the air itself plus the walls and anything else that's helping protect you. And then you want to try and stay inside for 2 to 3 days before you attempt to do anything yourself, because within those 2 to 3 days, I think it's something like I think I have this in the book here somewhere. If my notes are right, it should be page 21. Yeah. Okay, cool. It is here. But within the first like 24 to 72 hours, somewhere around 80% of that radiation is going to decay to the point where it's not there. Because a lot of the radioactive elements that get produced by a nuke are going to be stuff that has really short half-lives but produces a lot of radiation. And so like it produces a lot of radiation because it has that short half-life, it goes away pretty quickly.
So
sorry, go ahead.
I had a really quick question on that.
I've got one after.
For a project from like 10 years ago, I was researching like nukes a lot and kind of comparing, what we had in the 40s with what we have now and throughout the Cold War. And from my understanding from that, like modern nuclear weapons, like they're less radioactive after because they use up more of that energy and burn it off in the blast. It's a way bigger blast, like way deadlier in the blast zone.
And
but
then,
from my understanding, like there's less radioactivity than that would be in the 40s.
So another reason for that is that most of the bombs in the 40s were surface burst. So it gets dropped, hits the ground, then blows up. And because you're digging up a bunch of dirt with it, it's blasting off dirt that's been changed from whatever it was before into some sort of radiation producing particle.
So like it becomes like a nuke dirty bomb kind of thing?
Kind of, essentially, yeah. Whereas nowadays most nuclear weapons are going to be an airburst, because that's what's going to actually produce the most stuff damage.
Gotcha.
If you want to destroy buildings, remove infrastructure, level a military base or something like that, you'd want to do an airburst, because that's going to produce more damage than you'd get if you did that ground burst, which is going to produce more radiation and make it more difficult to later come and try and take over that military base and use their airfield or something.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. I had a question about the going back to kind of hunkering down and waiting a couple days. How would you suggest basically hardening your home? Say, it happens, you're not prepared. Worst case situation actually comes to pass, and you find yourself in this basement. What would the next steps be after the initial blast? Sealing doors, things like that. What would you do?
The best thing to do, right? Step one, it's going to suck. Turn your air conditioning system off, because the air conditioning systems can be sucking in air that could pull outside contaminants inside the house, because most of the stuff at this point you're worrying about is going to be particles that are about the size of sand or dust that can be superheated, fly up into the atmosphere, and then come raining down as fallout.
Yeah.
Hence the name fallout and all that fun stuff, because it falls out of the clouds.
Yeah.
And then after that, if you've got duct tape or tape like that, you'd want to seal off the seam of doors and windows and stuff to prevent any potential air that coming in from the outside that way.
Yeah.
And then really, generally though, best practice is just going to be general preparedness. So having food and water supply, stuff like that, because you want to try and stay inside for that 2 to 3 days as much as you can, but then also the longer you can wait, the better, because that's when Surf P is going to start. After that 3-ish day mark, that's about when Surf P should be getting there, if not already. Then we're going to actually be going out into that moderate damage zone with detection equipment and can say, okay, hey, follow this orange line on the ground. That keeps you far enough away from most of the nasty radiation that you're going to be okay to go from here to there.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's what's kind of cool about my unit's special mission is it's specifically for civilian defense.
Yeah.
First
And being,
responders to
like,
that
going
shit.
out saying, okay, don't go over that way because that way's super spicy and the air is wiggling real hard. But you can go over here. There's a little bit of radiation, but it's not anything that's going to be super dangerous.
Yeah. I'm curious as to, like, for people listening to this, and I would imagine a lot of prepared citizens or just people who are curious in general, if you were to suggest a go bag of some kind, just for the most likely CBRN situations, what would you suggest to put in it? I don't want this to be like a consume product thing, but like
So,
genuinely,
honestly,
like Summer of Love or a nuke even.
So I think the two biggest things, right, of course, would be the very, very unlikely scenario of getting into a nuke or, like a tear gas or something at a protest.
Yeah.
Talk about two
One,
extremes.
a mask, right? One is like your average Sunday at a protest. The other is like the world's falling apart, probably.
Yeah.
But like for generally just to have like a mask of some sort that's got a filter on it. For tear gas, that's going to be perfectly adequate. For radiation, you're going to want to have some form of a secondary layer you can put on the outside, because most of decon for radiation is just taking off your outer layer of clothes. Doing that gets rid of, if I remember right, it's about 80 to 85% of the radiation producing material that's on you, because it's not going to get through your clothes, because we're talking particles that are about the size of a grain of sand. And so when you get to us, that's going to be the first, like, my decon unit, that's going to be the first thing we do is you take off your outer layer of clothes. And then if it's radiation, you can do just dry decon where you just have like a brush or something. You can just like brush off where, like, after you use your detector and you see like up on the person's shoulder it's kind of high, you can just brush that off. That should be enough generally to be able to get it off. Of course, also depending on what it is, you could maybe have to wash it off. When you're washing off like a chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear weapon, it's best to use cool or cold water, because you want to make sure that your pores don't open, because if you use hot water, that's going to open your pores, and that could get potentially like radiation producing materials into your pores. It could help drive like a chemical or biological weapon to your pores. So generally it's best to use cool or cold water, but you don't necessarily absolutely have to. And then you also want to make sure that you're using a soap that doesn't have a conditioner in it, because the conditioner can actually bind some of those particles to your hair and stuff, which would be bad. But generally, I think probably the best would just be to have a mask and then something just to go over top of your clothes, and that could even be something as simple as a hoodie. For radiological, you don't there's not really anything you can wear that's going to stop the radiation from getting to you. But if you have something that can go over you, that's going to stop the radiation from getting onto your skin or onto your clothes, that's going to make decon significantly easier, because you can just toss that off and you're good, versus, if you're out there jogging in your boxers or something, now it's all over your skin directly, versus if you were in pants and a hoodie, it's on your hoodie and your pants. Once you take those off, most of it's going to be gone with just that.
Are there any relatively affordable, easily to pack down kind of outer layer disposable suits out there?
Not that I necessarily know of off the top of my head, because most of my experience with gear is just whatever Uncle Sam hands me and tells me to put on. But I'm sure if you did a little bit of digging, we used to have we called them paper suits, because they weren't what am I thinking? They weren't actually made of paper. they were like semi-resistant wire and everything, but you can probably find those online for relatively inexpensive, and that's like a hazmat trainer suit that you can just toss on top of your stuff, put on a pair of gloves, and then like duct tape around the gloves, and then there you go. You've got like your outer layer that's going to help prevent stuff from getting onto you that you can just, say it's actual like a nuke threat, right? Once you get to the decon line, then it's, we're going to be like, okay, cool. Snip, 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 snip. Detect, detect, detect. All right, guy, you're good to go.
You actually did a decent job. We don't have to spray. We don't have to power wash you with cold water and scrub your ass.
Yeah, no, it's you'd want to avoid using a pressure washer because it's for hazards and stuff, right? The big thing is going to be high volume, low pressure. So you want a lot of water, but at a low pressure because you don't want to like blast somebody with it and like push it into their skin, or like blast them with it and launch it off onto the guy behind them or something.
Yeah, fair enough.
Which is why you want the low pressure, so that you're just washing it down and away instead of like pushing it into their skin or like blasting other people with it.
Gotcha. So there is even a science to how you decontaminate someone, obviously, but like down to little details like that.
That actually makes a lot of sense. Something I didn't know until I was a little older was like most of the most of the radiation with radiation is trapped in particulates.
Yeah. So that's why clothing, just taking it off really helps. And that's another thing I think a lot of people don't like, because you say radiation, everybody's like, ooh, scary, because they don't really know much about it. It's things produce radiation, and then the radiation goes out and it hits you, but it doesn't make you radioactive necessarily. Yeah. It's like there are some things that, like, if this radioactive thing hits that thing that's not radioactive because it's this element, and if this element gets hit with too many neutrons, it absorbs them and then also becomes radioactive. But there's like, that's super unlikely to happen, which is fortunate, I guess, for most people.
Yeah.
Are there any other like misconceptions in your mind about any of the CBRN kind of topics? Like, is there anything else people kind of get wrong usually thinking about this stuff?
Honestly, I'll be real, and this, a lot of people probably won't like to hear it, but the likelihood of running into them outside of like tear gas, you're pretty unlikely to have contact with any of them unless it's the Wu flu.
Yeah,
dude. If anyone is disappointed by that fact, like, holy fuck, dude.
Yeah.
But that being said, this is a silly little podcast where we talk about a lot of hypothetical, but albeit unlikely futures.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I'll say also, unfortunately, a lot of them are potent enough to the point where, like, unless you were pre-prepped for it, there isn't much you can do, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of people don't realize. Like, for to bring it back to sarin for a second, a drop the size of the tip of Lincoln's nose on a penny is the LD50 for it. LD50 is lethal dose for 50% of a population.
Holy fuck.
So unless you're a fucking tank and built different, then you need double that, or like maybe a little bit more than that tiny fucking morsel.
And it's the thing that's kind of scary, I guess, is that sarin takes that little to be potentially fatal. VX is like 10 times as potent. Yeah.
And that you can't really prep for either. It just happens to you.
The Cold War.
Yeah, what the fuck, gang? We fucked up on that one. That birthed like all kinds of ungodly man-made horrors.
Oh yeah, and that's your fault. It's your people's fault, BR.
Whoa.
British made VX.
Did they?
Yeah.
Man, that sucks.
I did not know that.
It's actually kind of funny because VX was supposed to be a pesticide, and then they realized they made it way too potent. They're like, wait, this is a pesticide. Yeah, and then America's like, hey, Britain, thanks.
Yeah.
Well, you guys helped us with Israel, so who's really the bad guy? Anyway, sorry.
4 billion.
Yes, sorry. 20
5 billion more.
20 billion to Israel.
Send them 17 more jets.
for that joke. We apologize. On behalf of Art and War, have 20 more gazillion dollars.
To Israel, our greatest ally.
Our greatest
Please accept
ally.
this aid that helps you shoot children in the playground.
We get arrested in Britain for saying that.
We call them
Yeah.
tiny terrorists. They're not
Exactly.
children.
Future extremists.
Man, I really love still, like, this is kind of a throwback to last year, 60 things ago, when the British police were like, we will prosecute Americans for hate crimes against, Britain. And now, like, saying free Palestine or whatever, like saying anything against Israel, which, like, seeing the wanky university students arrested, very, very funny. Sometimes what they're being arrested for, not great. Britain's a dystopia. I hate Britain. Fuck
Dude,
Britain.
I'm going back to Britain end of this year for the first time in
that is
7
bad.
years. I'm going.
Well-
I may be imprisoned. We'll.
It's
we
been
might
good
have to-
knowing you.
I know.
Yeah,
we
buy
might.
a new phone. Like, just take that phone with you. Do not transfer any of your data over.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen those horrifying rubber masks the CIA would use for undercover operations?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
probably should invest on one of those in a false identity as well.
Yeah,
Dude, yeah. So, R.I.P. me. This will be my last few episodes.
yeah.
Shit.
You just show up at the
oh.
border with like the Star of David as your phone background screen.
There you go. Then they might be like, "All right, never mind. You're free to go." Yeah.
Yeah.
They
What
ask
time?
me. They ask me like the absolute most milquetoast questions about my trip, and I'm like, I am a big supporter of Israel, and they're like, right. And how long are you staying in Britain? Oy vey, this line is really long today.
Wear the little hat and grow some sideburns.
Dreidel. Okay, so just to wrap up, are there any ways that CBRN threats have evolved in like the most recent decades? Because I think this has like been as we've discussed, kind of like a big Cold War thing. Like the whole idea of CBRN threats, they're all like very Cold War threats. Has anything changed in recent years? Like we had, Assad was meant to have biological or gas, whatever the fuck he was, and
Yeah.
so it's been one of those like weapons of mass destruction things that we kind of always hint at. Has
The
there
big
been
nothing.
actually? Yeah, has there been any development on that in recent years? Any like realistic
as
shit?
far as I'm really tracking, there's not really been a major use other than like some clandestine ones here and there
Yeah.
in the world, except for like Syria in 2012 or 2013 or whatever it was, where they used some sarin, I think they claimed. But that's also one of those things where you look into it and it's like, the circumstances surrounding this are kind of fishy.
Yeah. Fair.
But, and of course, I'm sure all the countries like, oh yeah, we stopped using that stuff. We don't use it anymore. But I'm sure they're testing stuff that would make VX look like soda pop.
Oh God,
I'm sure.
yeah. I really don't trust governments, and I said this earlier, to not develop things that would just like end the human race, just like end all biological life on
It's
Earth.
like, well, this is really awful and deadly, but we can make it better.
Yeah.
What? Why?
Just like
This is
drop-
not as horrible as
Yeah.
it could be.
Yeah.
like this amount of this compound can kill half of the human population, and that amount fits in the head of a pin. I think we can do better.
Yeah, give us 10 million and we will make
Yeah.
this so much worse.
Yes.
Those guys were rookies. You're not going to believe what we can make.
Yeah.
This shit is gonna get sick.
Another question that I have for you, actually, because this probably is a little bit outside your wheelhouse, but I see a lot of contradictory things about the effect and fallout of an EMP device. I see a lot of things being like, yes, a lot of infrastructure is going to be knocked out, like your phone's not going to work, your car's not going to work, so and so. And I see other people, and I really don't know what to believe, talk about how it's actually not as effective. And like small electronics will mostly work. Like the amount of the ability to basically act as an antenna for all that EF and have effectively their circuits blow out. I don't know how to talk about this. I am not a smart science boy. Effectively, I've seen a lot of stuff like your red dot will work, your watch will probably work. Like a lot of your consumer electronics might probably work, and it's not actually that hard to shield against. What have you to say about that? I'm curious as to what you've been taught.
Yeah. honestly, we've not really been taught much, if anything,
Yeah.
about EMPs and the likes. If I
Yeah.
remember, I think there was a study one of my friends referenced one time from like
Yeah.
the early 2000s, maybe, where they the U.S. I think it was set off like an electromagnetic device and
Yeah.
knocked some cars offline. But after a couple of days, they were able to get them to start up again and
Mm.
use them. Now those were like late 90s, early 2000 cars, and it might be different with our computer cars we have today. But as far as I know, I think it's something where like after a while, like your devices will just be able to come back online. I could be completely wrong there because I know next to nothing outside of what I've seen in video games about it. But
Yeah, I think it's a good question because I think no one really knows enough about
yeah,
EMPs. You need like a real fucking electromagnetic like nerd to tell us what's what, and we'll probably get a comment on this
yeah,
episode going like, it's nothing burger, or oh no, EMPs are super fucking scary, guys. But it's kind of fascinating to me too because I've always been curious. Like, there's a big part of preppers' budgets will be like buying fucking it's why we joke about tinfoil
Faraday
hats and
cage
like
bags.
yeah, exactly, Faraday cage bags for your car, for your dishwasher, for like your TV and all the rest of it. And it's like,
Oh, God forbid I have to go 5 minutes without my TV.
God forbid, yeah, hell no,
You've
hell
probably
fucking
got some
no.
bigger problems if that's happened, but
Nah, man. I have 120 hours of media. Actually, no, I've got way more than that on hard copies, but whatever.
yeah,
Yeah. So that is interesting. I'd be interested to see if we could find a nerd for that. I don't know if there's an hour and a half in that, but um,
maybe. I
I
I don't think any of us have enough know-how to know how much there
I,
is.
I wouldn't even know how to ask the right questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would Red Dot would RMR still work after nuke?
Yes.
Do cargo vroom.
Yeah. will,
Yeah.
will my early
Will
2000s
Netflix work?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
from what I saw too, apparently like a lot of standard like steel gun safes are appropriate EF shielding for something like that as well.
Yeah, I've also heard that. So I don't know. That is an interesting topic that
Yeah.
I'd like to know more
I-
about.
I'd like to
If
talk about that
only.
if someone's listening to this and actually has know-how in that whole area. Maybe we do another episode kind of like this because I think
Yeah,
this is really fun.
yeah. If only to stop people from spending money on shit they don't need.
Yes.
Which, I guess, eternal mission of art and war, one of the many.
Yes.
Um, well, shit, Happy. Really appreciate the overview on all of that stuff. Is there
Yeah.
anything
Holy
else
shit.
you would like to leave the people with? First on CBRN, and then any other tangential thoughts you want to
Yeah.
Yeah.
leave them with.
I think the biggest thing with Sebring, right, is it's scary, but it's not outside of, the make your eyes water stuff really that big of a thing to worry about because like even when it's been used in terrorist attacks before, the dispersion methods weren't great, or they, for like anthrax or something, they there's some where they're trying to use it, but they can never get an actual like potent strain of it. So it's not a super big threat. And also, like, if we get to that point where other countries are using that, it's probably over anyways.
Yeah.
Chat, you're cooked anyway.
Cooked.
Cooked at 930 miles an hour.
No, I love that, from C to N, we basically go from like, yeah, like you'll basically be fine if you encounter tear gas, and like honestly, like a completely realistic threat to encounter, like maybe consider a gas mask if you're preparing for civil unrest, all the way through to nuclear, where it's like hide, have a week of food and water, and if you're caught in the immediate blast area, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shoot radiation.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, maybe if you get lucky, you'll become a feral ghoul.
Yeah.
What's up, smooth skin?
Hey, smooth skin.
How's it happening?
Yeah. But yeah, but before we wrap up, I've been asking everyone this lately. I want to know if you have enjoyed any good books or media of any kind lately.
Oh man, I'm dyslexic, so me and reading don't get along super
That's
well.
okay. Audiobooks
So
count too. Movies count too,
I've
even.
never read them myself, but I would very much love to read Lord of the Rings.
Oh, you should.
If you're more religious, I've been reading from the Bible. a fair bit recently. Of course, if you've not watched Lord of the Rings films, what are you doing? Go watch those. They're pretty great.
Peter Jackson is excellent. Also, an excellent movie directed by him, Dead Alive.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Older, someone gets their head shoved into a blender. It's excellent.
That sounds like a Nathan film.
Yeah,
Yes.
because I think if I remember right,
Same director as
before
Lord of the
he
Rings.
did
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings, he was just doing a bunch of like weird kind of like B-movie horror films, and
Yeah, they're great.
everyone was like, how is this guy gonna direct Lord of the Rings?
Yeah,
And
there's
then
a scene where the
fucking
main
nails it.
character straps a lawnmower to his chest and holds the blades in front of him and just walks through a crowd of zombies.
What?
Yeah,
Based-
fucking
That's
awesome
amazing.
movie. Incredible movie.
That was absolutely the man for the job, and
Yes.
clearly he delivered.
And he delivered. Lord of the Rings is classic. But yeah, any dad advice you want to leave our listeners with?
Oh man, so this is one that's I wish I would have thought about months ago, but Nathan, the last time we tried this, I found myself a fine young lady, and then
Hell yeah.
things ended up not working out, but that's all right. And so I think the biggest takeaway from that for myself, right, is even if you can see things going on and you feel like you understand the reasons for why somebody's maybe doing something or acting the way they are,
Yeah.
if they are supposed to be any amount of important in your life, or like for me, like I thought we were going to end up getting married. If that's the relation you have with them, at a minimum they owe you an actual explanation
Yeah.
for why they're acting like they are. So even if you're worried about becoming a burden, putting them under more stress or what have you, if they actually are that important to you and they see you as that important to them, it should behoove them to help you understand why things are going on, so that you guys can either come to a decision that, hey, maybe things aren't going to work out like we thought we were, or you can figure out how to move forward with the different things you have going on.
Yes. Communication is key to everything.
Know your worth, King.
Yes.
Yeah, because not to, I guess, air the dirty laundry, but like, she had some pretty major life things going on. And I was just like, okay, that's probably what's causing this and that. And I never stopped to take the time to think, or maybe it's because she's feeling like things between us aren't working out.
Yeah.
And had I done that, maybe things would be better and we'd still be together. Maybe things would end sooner. Who knows? But,
Yeah.
take care of yourself. Go do things on your own. Like, I'm going to see The Longest Johns next month by myself, because
Hell yes.
all my friends were like, oh man, I don't know, I've got this and that. It's like, don't be a bum, just go. I don't know if I can. So I just went ahead and got a ticket to go see him myself, because it's The Longest Johns do kind of like British sea shanty songs and folk music and stuff like that, and that's some of my favorite music.
Hell yeah, dude. There's something, when I first got to the States and I didn't know my local music scene, I didn't know anyone, I was so nervous about going to shows on my own, and then I just fucking started doing it, and it was sick. Like, I met so many weird fucking creatures, and it was awesome. So, just go and jump into that shit, do it. Don't let being on your lonesome hold you back from doing stuff.
Yes.
Worst things happens. You had fun, and who knows? Maybe you'll make a friend while you're there.
Yep.
Yes.
Honestly, it's quite freeing to not have like someone else that you're kind of like dragging along to things. Even if they're like a friend who's into the same shit, you're just doing a solo side quest here and there. Like, super good for you.
It levels you up faster.
It does. You get more XP to yourself. All right. Well, Happy, thank you so much for coming on and talking about this topic with us. Super cool for us to finally circle back around to this topic, the one that started it all for the page and the show and everything else. So, guys, if you enjoyed this, let us know. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments on the show, and maybe we do a follow up. Maybe we look at doing a CBRN guide again. That doesn't have to be anything crazy, but like, hey, masks exist. Why would you need one? Here's why. That kind of thing. But
See, Bully cool. Nathan, he has a nuclear survival guide that I made like a year ago.
Yes.
It's just vibing.
It's just vibing in my inbox along with all the other guides that I'm totally great at doing.
But no, I mean, if you've got questions, you guys can put my public facing Instagram in the description for people to find and
Yeah.
shoot me questions, and I might get back to you. I don't use that one as often as I use my private one, but that's going to be Martins_munitions. You're welcome to shoot questions you have to me over there, and I'll do my best to get back to them. And then another Instagram that I'd actually recommend myself, because he usually posts some pretty good CBRN threat information, is going to be Kiram Litchfield, which I can
I love that
shoot
guy.
you guys. Yeah, but no, he posts some really awesome stuff. Like everything I see him post at CBRN, I'm like, oh, that's basically exactly what I'd tell someone if they ask
Holy
me a
shit,
question about that.
1.5 million followers.
Yeah.
Look at this
That guy
man.
has
He does a lot of like medical and CBRN stuff, but
Mm.
his information's great.
Very cool.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
I think so.
Awesome. All right. Educational episode in the books. Thank you guys for listening.
Did it.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
we're gonna do more of
Happy.
these. Thank you
Yes,
very
sir.
much.
All right. Yeah. Until next time.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.